Welcome to Romance Beyond the Porch.
I was standing at the edge of my garage in Austin, Texas, holding a cup of black coffee, watching the street the way I do when sleep refuses to come. The night was quiet except for the rain hitting the pavement. The kind of rain that makes everything shine under streetlights and makes you feel like the world is smaller than it really is. That is when I heard it. Not loud, not dramatic, just a soft, broken sound under the rain. The kind of sound someone makes when they are trying to keep it together and failing. I stepped a little farther out from the garage and looked toward the flickering street lamp across the driveway. The bulb kept blinking on and off like it could not decide if it wanted to work. And under that weak light I saw her, Emily Carter, my ex. She was fighting with a soggy cardboard box, trying to shove it into the back of her small hatchback that was already packed full. The trunk would not close. She pushed it. It bounced back. She pushed again. It bounced again. Her hair was soaked and stuck to her cheeks. Her shoulders were shaking. Every few seconds she stopped, pressed her hand against her mouth, and breathed in slow through her nose like she was counting to 10 so she would not scream. I had not seen her in 8 months. 8 months since she walked out of my house and said she needed space. 8 months since she told me she loved me but not enough to stay. 8 months since I stood in the same driveway and watched her taillights disappear. And now she was back on my street, crying. Her apartment was 2 houses down from mine. I knew because I had forced myself not to drive past it too often. I looked toward her porch. My stomach dropped, boxes stacked on the steps, a suitcase tipped on its side, a lamp with a bent shade, a laundry basket full of clothes thrown in without folding. It was not careful packing. It was rushed, forced. Her whole life was sitting outside in the rain like trash waiting for pickup. I should have gone back inside. My life worked because I kept it simple. I built custom furniture in my garage workshop. I had clients' deadlines, a routine that kept me steady. I did not invite chaos in. I did not fix other people's problems anymore, but the trunk still would not close, and I do not know why that was the thing that moved my feet. I stepped into the rain. She spun around when she heard me. For a second her face showed everything. Hurt, fear, embarrassment. Then it shut down. "Go away, Mason," she said flat, like a door slamming. I looked at the box half hanging out of her trunk. Then I walked back into my garage without answering. I grabbed a heavy canvas drop cloth and came back out. I threw it over the open trunk and tucked the sides in tight to keep the rain off her things. She watched me with red eyes and a tight jaw. "He gave me 3 days," she said finally. Her voice was shaking, but not from sadness, from anger. "Landlord says he's renovating, raising the rent." I was at work when he changed the locks. My stuff was on the steps when I got back. I looked at the pile again. 3 days was nothing in this market. "I'm going to a motel," she said, "until I figure something out." "With all this," I asked, "you'll spend more on storage than rent." Her hands curled into fists. I should have stopped there. Instead, I said the one thing I had no plan to say. "You could move in with me." The words hung in the rain between us. "I've got space," I added. "Dry floors, a working lock." She went completely still. Rain dripped from her chin. Her eyes searched my face, waiting for the joke, waiting for me to laugh. I did not. She let out a short, sharp laugh instead, not happy, not amused, just disbelief. "That's funny," she said. "I'm not joking." The laughter faded from her face. She studied me harder. "Why would you do that?" she asked. "Because I still loved her. Because seeing her cry made something in my chest twist in a way I could not ignore. Because 8 months had not changed what she meant to me, but I did not say any of that. "You need a place," I said. "I have one." She shook her head slowly. "You don't just get to play hero, Mason." "I'm not playing anything." Her eyes softened for half a second, and that scared me more than the anger. "I can't do this with you again," she whispered. "You're not doing anything with me," I said. "It's a room, a roof, that's it." She stared at me another long moment. Then she pulled the canvas off the trunk, tossed it onto the ground, climbed into her car, and slammed the door. Her taillights disappeared down the street. I stood in the rain alone, wondering if I had just made the biggest mistake of my life, or the best one. The next morning there was a knock on my front door, short, firm. I knew it was her before I opened it. Emily stood there in dry clothes this time, hair pulled back, dark circles under her eyes. She was holding a coffee cup with both hands like she needed something steady. "Was that real?" she asked. "Was what real?" "Last night, the offer." I leaned against the doorframe. My heart was beating harder than it should have been. It was real. She swallowed. "I don't have anywhere else," she admitted quietly. "My sister's place is full. Motels are expensive. I can't sign a new lease without a deposit." "I know." She searched my face again. "You won't hold this over me?" she asked. "You won't throw it back in my face later?" I shook my head. "No." A long silence stretched between us. "Okay," she said finally. "Temporary." "Temporary," I agreed. By noon, her boxes were in my living room. By evening, her clothes were hanging in the guest room closet. And by night, the house felt different, not loud, not chaotic, just charged. We moved around each other carefully, like strangers pretending not to know each other's habits, like we had not once shared this same kitchen and this same couch and this same bed. She cooked dinner that night without asking, pasta with garlic and lemon. The smell filled the house the way it used to. We sat across from each other at the table. "So," she said softly, "roommates." "Roommates." But when our hands brushed while reaching for the same glass, neither of us pulled away right away. And I knew temporary was already a lie. The first night she slept under my roof again, I did not sleep at all. I lay in my bed staring at the ceiling, listening to every small sound in the house. The soft click of the guest room door closing, the shower running, the faint hum of her hair dryer. Things that used to be normal, things that used to mean home. Now they felt like something fragile. Like if I breathed too hard, it would all disappear. Around midnight, I heard her footsteps in the hallway. They stopped outside my door. I held my breath without meaning to. 3 seconds, maybe 4. Then her steps moved on to the kitchen. I heard a cabinet open. A glass fill with water, the quiet click of it being set back down. She was still here. That thought settled somewhere deep in my chest. The next morning felt strange in a different way. I was already in the kitchen making coffee when she walked in wearing one of my old t-shirts. It hung loose on her frame, sleeves brushing her elbows. She froze when she saw me looking at it. "Laundry's still in boxes," she said quickly. "It's fine." It was more than fine. We stood there in the soft morning light, the smell of coffee between us. For a moment, it felt like we had stepped backward in time, like the last 8 months had never happened, but they had. She cleared her throat. "I'll transfer you money for utilities," she said, "and half the groceries. You don't have to rush." "I want to." Of course she did. Emily had always hated owing anyone anything. We settled into something that looked like a routine. She worked from the small desk in the guest room during the day. I stayed in my garage workshop, sanding and cutting and pretending my heart did not jump every time I heard her laugh during a client call. At night she cooked. Not because I asked, just because that was who she was. The first week passed without a fight. No raised voices, no heavy silences, just careful space. Then on Friday evening, I came inside to find her sitting on the living room floor surrounded by papers. Lease agreements, printed emails, a notebook filled with tight handwriting. Her landlord had sent a final notice demanding she remove the rest of her belongings from the property within 24 hours or they would be discarded. "He already changed the locks," she said, eyes flashing. "Now he's threatening to toss everything I couldn't fit in the car." "Did you get pictures?" "Yes." "Texts?" "Yes." She looked up at me like she was waiting for me to tell her it was hopeless. "It's illegal," I said calmly. "He can't do that without a court order." She studied my face. "You're not even surprised," she said. "I've dealt with bad contractors before," I answered. "Bullies rely on people not knowing their rights." Her shoulders dropped just a little. "We'll go tomorrow morning," I said. "I'll bring my truck." Her lips parted slightly. "We." "You think I'm letting you deal with him alone?" She looked down at her hands. "You don't have to fix this for me." "I'm not fixing it for you," I said. "I'm standing next to you." She did not respond right away, but something in her expression shifted. The next morning was tense before we even got out of the driveway. Her landlord, Greg Miller, was already on the porch when we pulled up. Tall, broad, wearing a tight smile that did not reach his eyes. "Well," he said when he saw me step out of the truck. "Brought backup." Emily walked forward first. "You had no right to change the locks," she said steadily. "You were late on rent. By 3 days. You were notified. Not legally." They went back and forth for a minute. Calm words, sharp tone. Then he looked at me. "And you are?" "Mason Reed," I said. "Neighbor." He smirked. "You're taking her in, that's generous." I did not answer. Instead, I took out my phone and hit record. The smirk faded just a little. "Emily is here to retrieve her remaining belongings," I said evenly. "If anything has been damaged or disposed of, we'll document it." Greg's jaw tightened. "You threatening me?" "Just documenting." For a moment I thought he might push it further, but he stepped aside. Inside, the apartment looked like it had been rushed through. Drawers open, closet half empty. A stack of her framed photos leaned against the wall. Emily moved quickly, gathering the last of her things. When she reached the bedroom, she froze. I followed her gaze. The picture of us at Lake Travis last summer was cracked down the middle. She walked over slowly and picked it up. Her fingers traced the line across the glass. "He didn't do this by accident," she whispered. I felt heat rise in my chest. Greg appeared in the doorway behind us. "Things break," he said lightly. I stepped forward before I could stop myself. "You touch her stuff again," I said quietly, "and we won't be having this conversation on a porch." Emily's hand caught my arm. "Let's go," she said softly. We loaded the last box into the truck without another word. The ride home was silent. When we pulled into my driveway, she did not get out right away. "I shouldn't have come back," she said finally. I looked at her. "What?" "Not just to your house," she clarified. "To you." There it was, the real thing. "This is messy," she continued. "You're stepping into drama that isn't yours." "It is if you're here." She turned toward me fully then. "You don't owe me anything, Mason. I'm the one who left." I swallowed, I know. She searched my face again like she was trying to find weakness, resentment, something she could push against. "You were good to me," she said quietly. "I was the one who panicked." I did not say anything, because the truth was I had replayed that night in my head 100 times. "You said I felt too permanent," I finally said. Her breath caught. "I was scared," she admitted. "Everything with you felt solid, and I wasn't sure I deserved that." The words hit harder than I expected. "You don't run from solid things," I said gently. "You build on them." She let out a shaky laugh. "You make it sound easy." "It's not," I answered, "but it's worth it." Silence wrapped around us. Then she did something that made my chest tighten. She reached across the console and took my hand. Not dramatic, not desperate, just held it. "I'm not asking for us back," she said softly. "I don't even know what I'm ready for, but I don't want to pretend we're strangers either." Her thumb brushed against my knuckles. That small touch felt louder than any argument we had ever had. "We'll figure it out," I said. She nodded. That night we unpacked the rest of her boxes together. When we carried the last one into the guest room, she did not step away right away. "You really meant it," she said quietly. "Meant what?" "Last night. When you said I could move in." I stepped closer. "I don't say things I do mean." She smiled then, not the guarded smile, not the polite one, the real one. And for the first time since she walked back into my life in the rain, I felt something stronger than fear. Hope, but hope has a way of testing itself. And I had no idea yet how hard ours was about to be tested. The first time she kissed me after moving back in, it was not planned. It was not dramatic. It was quiet. And that made it worse. We had fallen into something that felt almost normal. She worked during the day. I built furniture in the garage. We ate dinner together most nights. Sometimes we watched a show on the couch, careful to leave space between us like that space was protecting something. But space only works until it doesn't. It happened on a Tuesday night. The power went out during a storm. The whole house went dark at once. No warning, just the sharp snap of silence when everything electric dies. Emily let out a small sound from the kitchen. "I've got candles," I called out. I found the flashlight in the drawer and walked toward her voice. She was standing near the counter, phone in her hand, the screen lighting up her face in pale blue. "You okay?" I asked. "Yeah. I just hate sudden dark." I remembered that. She had always hated it. I set the candles on the island and lit them one by one. Warm light filled the room slowly, soft, flickering, close. The storm outside was loud, rain slamming against the windows, wind pushing against the walls. She wrapped her arms around herself. "It's stupid," she said quietly, "but storms make me feel like everything could fall apart at any second." I stepped closer without thinking. "It's just weather," I said. "That's what you always say." I smiled a little. "And you always roll your eyes." She did not roll them this time. She looked at me, really looked at me. The candlelight moved across her face, across her eyes, across the small scar near her eyebrow I used to trace with my thumb when we lay in bed. "You still know me too well," she said softly. I never stopped. The air between us changed. It was not heavy. It was honest. She took a slow breath. "When I left," she said, "I thought I needed to prove I could stand on my own. I thought if I stayed with you, I would lose myself." "And did you?" I asked gently. She gave a small, sad smile. "No, I just lost you." That hit harder than I expected. Thunder cracked outside, loud enough to shake the windows. She flinched before she could stop herself. Instinct moved me. My hands found her arms. She did not pull away. Instead, she stepped closer. Her forehead rested against my chest. We stood like that for a long moment, just breathing, just listening to the storm. "This is dangerous," she whispered. "I know. You make me feel safe." "That's not dangerous. It is when you're scared of depending on someone." I tilted her chin up gently so she had to look at me. "I'm not asking you to depend on me," I said. "I'm asking you to choose me." Her eyes searched mine like she was looking for doubt. She did not find it. The kiss was slow, careful at first, testing, then not careful at all. It felt like coming home after a long drive in the dark, like warmth after cold. Her hand slid up to my shoulders. Mine settled at her waist. The storm outside faded into background noise. For a few minutes there was no landlord, no eviction, no past, just us. When we finally pulled apart, we were both breathing harder. She rested her forehead against mine again. "If we do this," she said quietly, "we don't do it halfway." "I don't do halfway." A faint smile touched her lips. "Yeah," she said, "that's kind of the problem." The power came back on with a sudden buzz, lights flashing overhead. We both blinked at the brightness. Reality returned with it. The next morning I woke up to find her side of the bed empty. For a split second my chest tightened. Then I heard her voice in the kitchen, laughing. I walked down the hallway slowly. She was on the phone. "No, I'm serious," she was saying. "It just makes sense financially." My steps slowed. She turned when she saw me and her smile shifted slightly. Not gone, just different. "Yeah," she said into the phone. "I'll call you back." She hung up. "Who was that?" I asked. "My sister." Something in her tone felt careful. "What makes sense financially?" I asked. She hesitated. "I got offered a job," she said, "in Denver." The word hit like cold water. Denver. "It's a design firm, bigger clients, better pay." "How long have you known?" 2 days. 2 days. We had kissed last night. I didn't want to say anything until I was sure, she added quickly. "I haven't accepted." I tried to keep my voice steady, "But you're thinking about it." "It's a big opportunity, Mason." "And what are we?" I asked before I could stop myself. Her jaw tightened. "That's not fair." "It feels fair." She ran a hand through her hair. "I just got back here," she said. "I just started fixing my life. I can't ignore something like this. And I can't pretend I didn't just let you back into my bed." Silence fell heavy between us. "I never asked you to," she said softly. "That's the problem," I replied. "You never ask, you just decide." Her eyes flashed. "I am not the villain here." "I didn't say you were." but you're looking at me like I'm about to run again." A long pause. "Are you?" I asked quietly. That hurt her. I saw it in the way her shoulders pulled back. "I don't know," she admitted, "and that scares me." The honesty of it left no room to hide. I stepped closer. "I can handle long distance," I said. "I can handle change. What I can't handle is you leaving without fighting for this." She swallowed. "I am fighting," she said. "I'm just trying to figure out what I'm fighting for." That night we barely spoke. She worked late at the desk in the guest room. I stayed in the garage longer than I needed to. Around midnight I found her sitting on the couch staring at nothing. "You okay?" I asked. She nodded, but her eyes were wet. "I don't want to lose you again," she whispered. "Then don't. It's not that simple." "It could be." She looked up at me, torn between two futures. "You'd really let me go?" she asked. I took a slow breath. "I would never trap you," I said, "but I won't chase you either." The words hung between us, real, heavy. She stood up slowly and walked toward me. Her hands pressed against my chest, just like the night of the storm. "I don't want to run," she said, "but I need to know you're not just offering me safety. I need to know you still want me." I lifted her chin gently. "I told you to move in because I love you," I said, "not because I felt sorry for you." Her breath caught. "You still love me." Never stopped. Tears slipped down her cheeks. And for the second time since she came back into my life, I realized I was about to lose her all over again, unless she chose to stay. She did not answer me right away. She just stood there in the middle of my living room, her hand still pressed against my chest, her eyes searching mine like the answer was written somewhere on my face. "You never said that," she whispered. "Not like that." "I thought you knew." "I didn't," she said. "I hoped, but I didn't know." The room felt too small for everything hanging in the air between us. "I love you," I said again, not louder, just clearer. Her breath broke on the way out. "I left because I was scared," she said, "not because I stopped loving you." "Then why does it feel like I'm always the one waiting?" That question had been sitting inside me for months. She flinched at it, but she did not step back. "Because you're steady," she said. "You build things, you don't panic, you don't run. I've always been the one who runs first." I gave a small, tired smile. "I'm tired of watching taillights." Silence stretched between us. Not angry, not cold, just honest. She walked to the kitchen island and picked up the envelope from the design firm. She held it for a moment like it weighed more than paper should. "They want an answer by Friday," she said quietly. "That's 2 days." "Yes." "And what do you want?" I asked. She looked down at the envelope. "For a long time I thought I wanted big cities, big chances, something that proved I was more than someone's girlfriend. More than someone who got comfortable." "You were never just someone's girlfriend," I said. "I know that now." She set the envelope down. "But here's the part that scares me," she continued. "When I picture Denver, it looks exciting. When I picture staying here, it looks peaceful." "Peace isn't bad," I said gently. "I know, I just never trusted it." She walked back toward me slowly. "When you offered me a place to stay that night in the rain," she said, "I laughed because I thought you were being kind. I thought you felt sorry for me." "I didn't. I know that now too." Her fingers brushed against mine. "You were serious," she said softly. "You always are." I stepped closer. "Emily," I said, "I don't want you to stay because you're scared to leave. And I don't want you to go because you're scared to stay. I want you to choose the place where you can build something real." "And what if that place is here?" she asked. My heart beat harder. "Then stay." She searched my face one more time. "You wouldn't resent me if I passed on this." "I would resent you more if you left just to prove you could." That made her laugh through her tears. "You're unfairly calm about this." "I'm not calm," I admitted. "I'm terrified, but I'm not going to beg." She stepped into me then. No hesitation this time. "I don't want Denver," she said into my chest. I wanted to feel like I had a choice. "You do." She nodded against me. "And I'm choosing you." The words hit in a way nothing else had. Not dramatic, not loud, just certain. "You're sure?" I asked softly. "I'm done running," she said. "If I leave again, it won't be because I'm scared of loving you." I let out a breath I did not realize I had been holding. She pulled back slightly and looked up at me. "But we have to do this right," she added. "No pretending this is temporary. No acting like we're roommates who might disappear." "I don't want temporary," I said. "I want permanent." Her lips curved into that real smile again, the one I had missed for 8 long months. "Permanent scares me," she admitted. "It scares me too. But maybe that's not a bad thing." I brushed my thumb across her cheek, wiping away the last of her tears. "You once told me I felt too solid," I said quietly, "too steady." "I was wrong," she replied. "Solid doesn't mean trapped, it means safe." Outside, the sky was clear for the first time in days. The air felt lighter somehow. She picked up her phone and walked to the window. "I'm calling them," she said. I watched her take a deep breath before dialing. "Hi," she said when someone answered. "I appreciate the offer, truly, but I'm going to decline." She listened for a moment. "Yes," she added, glancing back at me. "I'm choosing something else." When she hung up, she stood still for a second like she was letting it sink in. "It's done," she said. I walked over to her. "No regrets?" I asked. "Not this time." There was something different about her now. Not fragile, not uncertain, steady. She wrapped her arms around my neck and kissed me like she was not afraid of what tomorrow looked like. And for the first time since she stood in my driveway in the rain, I felt it too. Not hope, not fear, just certainty. A week later, her name was on the mailbox next to mine. A month later, we repainted the guest room together and turned it into her office instead of a place she might leave from. 3 months later, she stood in the garage watching me finish a dining table for a client and said, "We should build one for us." "For someday?" I asked. "No," she said, smiling, "for now." I told my ex to move in with me after she got evicted. She laughed, until she realized I was serious. And in the end, I think the real surprise was not that she stayed. It was that this time she wanted to.